Hi, I'm Mrs. Malanka. Growing up, I could see Manhattan through the windows of my childhood home. Its skyline has always been in my dreams, especially the Twin Towers, maybe because they seemed as big and powerful as my dreams could ever be. Before starting my teaching career here at Tenafly in 2004, I worked at an advertising agency in Midtown Manhattan, which is where I was headed on the morning of September 11th, 2001. My morning commute included riding the New Jersey Transit bus through the Lincoln Tunnel. From the elevated roadway leading into the tunnel, the view of the city was particularly stunning. I'll never grow tired of that view, but that day especially, all the skyscrapers were dipped in sunbeams, and the Hudson River's bright blue waters were sparkling in gold. I arrived early for a client meeting on the 12th floor of the skyscraper where I worked. We had just begun when the news reported that a small plane had crashed into the top of Tower 1, which might seem strange given what we now know about the attack. But the video camera atop a Midtown building delivering live footage of the towers at that early point in time couldn't capture the sheer magnitude of the building and the plane that was on fire sticking out of it. Less than 15 minutes later, we learned a second plane hit Tower 2. The meeting ended abruptly, and everyone was too stunned to think, just feeling terrified for everyone at or near the towers, because now we knew these were deliberate attacks. It was just after 9 a.m. when sirens began blaring down the street at a constant rate. In fact, there is a fire station, Engine 54, Ladder 4, Battalion 9, located across the street on 8th Avenue. Its fire trucks were racing away from us. Later that week, I learned that Engine 54 suffered the most devastating losses of all New York fire companies. All 15 members who were on duty that day perished in the towers. As my coworkers and I couldn't figure out our next move, those 15 firefighters and hundreds of other emergency responders were intent on saving lives because going toward the danger was their calling in life. News of the devastation was changing rapidly. Another plane had crashed into the Pentagon. When Tower 2 collapsed, all of us were desperately trying to reach our loved ones to let them know we were still okay. But there was little to no cell phone service. We were all frozen in fear, wondering how we'd get off the island. We didn't have much time to think because soon we could feel the earthquake of Tower 1 collapsing. It moved our building. How could these enduring symbols of New York be no more? Those of us from New Jersey joined the exodus headed toward the Hudson River ferry station because all bridges and tunnels were closed. Approaching the pier, we saw the dust and smoke pouring from lower Manhattan. My work friends and I felt vulnerable, not knowing if another attack was underway. And we were still worrying about family and friends who were working elsewhere in the city or those who had boarded planes that day. In the face of all this panic and fear, I saw people being so kind to each other. Thousands of us only wanted to reunite with our loved ones, yet no one was pushing or yelling. Pregnant, sick, and disabled people were shepherded to the front of the line. We knew that many people like us had died. Their families would forever be waiting for them to come home. A week later, I got on the bus and made my way across the river, despite my fear there would be another attack, this time on the tunnel. It was another beautiful late summer day, except for the smoke from the smoldering pit where the World Trade Center once was. From an elevated point on the Jersey side, I could see the shroud of smoke and ash draped over much of the city. Once I stepped out onto the street in Manhattan, there looked to be snow flurries. I was dusted in gray and black feathery ashes, blowing in from what was now known as Ground Zero. They flew into my eyes and nose, covered my clothes, and I imagined that these ashes were all the victims, those that were never to be found. The heartache I felt for people I had never met, but in some way knew well, felt too much to bear. The only reason we can go on and rebuild is because regular people race toward the danger to help strangers rather than running away from it. That is the persistence of humanity during inhumane times. We will always remember and grieve for the victims, and we honor them when we get up again and keep going, when we become or sustain the community. Because we are resilient when we find each other, when we are there for one another, as so many people did on that awful day of September 11th. Even if the majority of us doubt a city can rebuild, there are enough of us who will not ever forget. Our resilience stems from staying connected. It's what carries us through the darkest hours.